Good afternoon, everybody. Today is a special day for Network, our kickoff event in the Netherlands. We are very pleased that we have Frank Viviano with us again. However, be it online, not live in person as we did in New York at the beginning of the year before the Corona crisis. It's my great pleasure to introduce Frank to you. He is an award-winning journalist, not specialized in horticulture, but actually a war correspondent. He's been writing for many years about human conflict and is painfully aware of the consequences of crisis. You know him as the author of the National Geographic article, How a Tiny Country Feeds the World. That article was partly about crisis, but much more about hope. That is a strong value and a strong message that Frank thinks that horticulture can bring to the world. But, well, as an award-winning writer, he's much better at explaining that in his own words to you today. Frank, are you with us?
I am indeed. Many thanks, Renee. It's both a pleasure and a great honor to be back with you and your colleagues again this evening, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you directly. The extraordinary accomplishments of Dutch agriculture embrace two themes that pervade almost every feature of life in the 21st century: the unprecedented potential of modern technology, and as the coronavirus pandemic so grimly demonstrates, the dense web of interconnections that have shrunk the globe to a single immense habitat populated by more than 7 billion people. The sad truth, unfortunately, is that Dutch agriculture is a rare example of both themes working to better the human condition. Technological advances in communications that might have vastly expanded global knowledge in the common interest now serve largely to mine the comprehensive details of our lives and thoughts, then sell them to the highest bidder, encasing us in suffocating virtual bubbles that raise walls of division and conflict rather than promote commonality. Instead of knowledge, they often diffuse ignorance and despair. Hence the power of the Dutch model. If a single country, not much larger than metropolitan New York City, can harness state-of-the-art technology to agriculture so successfully that the volume of its food exports rivals those of the entire United States, which is 240 times the size of the Netherlands, there is hope for the future of our troubled world. Food is not virtual. It is tangibly real, literally earthy, and unequivocally essential to all life. The history of what we know as civilization begins with the passage from nomadic hunting and gathering to farming and settlement. All culture, in a meaningful sense, springs from the cultivation of land and the domestication of animals. Food is not about bubbles and walls, although at first glance it is as central to national identity as flags and anthems. What would the culture of Italy be without the tomato? Or France and Germany without pommes frites and kartoffels? Who could imagine India, Thailand, or Indonesia without the chili pepper? My friends at Network are smiling now because they know where this question is headed. The history of food is marked by an endless capacity for exchange and adaptation. Every item mentioned in my small list has its origin in the Americas. No tomato or potato was eaten in Europe, and no chili pepper in Asia before the 16th century, when Portuguese caravels, Spanish galleons, and a bit later Dutch East Indiamen began shipping them from continent to continent. The global reach of Dutch farmers and agricultural researchers today is the latest chapter in that lengthy saga. Interconnectedness is not exclusively a matter of the food on our tables, however. It is also about the fragile ecosystem that supports cultivation and distribution. Today, that presents a very alarming picture. Like food, the waves of refugees streaming into the developed nations from the poorest corners of Asia, Africa, and Latin America are not virtual. Hunger is what compels these voyagers onto overcrowded rafts, knowing full well that a death at sea awaits many of them. A hunger for peace, a hunger to escape poverty, and more often than not, the sheer literal hunger spawned by sun-scorched fields and raging floods. There is nothing virtual about today's extreme volatility in the Earth's climate and its devastating impact on the world's most vulnerable inhabitants. It is here that despair is at its bleakest and the outlook for our common future as human beings most uncertain. We are haunted by the prospect of famine and escalating chaos that threatens the affluent North as much as the impoverished South. Yet it is also here that the Dutch interface between high technology and food production is most inspiring. The globe-spanning outreach programs of Wageningen University, with its peerlessly cosmopolitan graduate students, the phenomenal network of Holland's agricultural research and development firms, large and small, the close institutional links between government, academia, and entrepreneurship that bring new meaning to the venerable Dutch concept of shared knowledge and responsibility. They show us what can be done when global community is viewed as something real, something precious to be cultivated rather than feared, something that is neither virtual nor menacing. This is a call to action that needs to be heard far beyond the Netherlands, because the critical challenges that lie ahead are global and transcend all boundaries. Many thanks.
Thank you, Frank. I think there's a lot to say, but I want to keep it to many, many, many heartfelt thanks that you could be with us today, and we will definitely be in touch soon again. Thank you.
Okay.